people that refer to themselves as psychic, and they'll be talking to somebody, and that person will say, "Well, I wish I was psychic." Well, you are. There was a woman, she was a sergeant on the police force, and she had written a book, I think it was called The Silver Badge or something like that. But anyhow, and I had interviewed her on my radio show, the UFO Radio, and I says, well, and it was on, her book was experiencing, police officers experiencing UFOs and uh, things paranormal and crypto. And I asked her, I said, how in the world did you get all these police officers, to give you this information for a book? Was it because you were a sergeant, or what was the deal? And she says, no, you just have to learn how to speak to them in their own terms. So, like with her, they would totally deny the fact that they're psychic, but they'd be the first one to jump in there and say, "Yeah, well, I figured it out because I had a gut feeling on it." So it's terminology. Psychic is not psychic. Psychic is something to be laughed at as far as the police are concerned. But have got a gut instinct that makes you a good detective. Isn't that strange? Um, um, Priests, different people like that, they'll say, I followed my heart and found Jesus. Okay. So, you know, but would a priest say, I'm psychic? No. But they would say, I followed my heart. And there's a lot of people, you'll hear them, they'll say, well, I, I'm a mother, I'm very intuitive. I know what my kids are going to do before they even do it. Or, they did something, they says no, but I knew that they did it. Well, an intuitive mom, will that make that intuition psychic? Yes. It's all a matter of terminology. Cindy says, so you think there are different kinds of psychics? Like one person might see auras and another might see past life, etc., etc. Yeah, I do. Like Brad, my husband, the Bradster, he has the ability to see uh, dead people. Now, when there's a chart when he was in the military. They have to read this chart to see if you have, your eyes are okay, and they check for color blindness. And people that have, and so they use different colors, on the chart. But if you're standing back, you'd never notice the chart would look like it was all done in black, black on white. But it actually isn't. I can't remember, and he's not here right now. But they have dots in them that I like, maybe green, and then there's another chart where the dots are blue. So if you're colorblind, let's go. I think it's red and blue because red and green, because he said that his dad is colorblind, so he can't see red. So a stoplight that turns red, well, he sees it as a different color. So anyhow, so when you're doing this chart, if how does it work? I should have talked to Brad first about this. But if you do the chart, there will be letters that will come out, where the other letters you can't read. So you just read the letters you can see. Well, Brad read the charts, and he was able to read all the letters on both charts. And they said, well, that's impossible. can't be done. But Brad was able to do it. So make him psychic? Or does it, or is it that his optical nerves are set up just a little bit different, where he's able to see all, everything, which would then be maybe one of the explanations of why he sees dead people. Because I can feel things, all right? I'm psychic. I can feel things and actually visualize them in my in my mind, and pretty well tell you exactly what I can, what they look like. But I can't visually see them. So I'll look at Brad and I'll say, Brad, do you see anything right there? And he'll say, yeah, I see. And then he'll tell me what he sees, and that will be what I had seen in my mind. And Shelley, she's on here a lot. She sees people. Juanita sees people. And I can go to them and I say, what are you seeing? And it's usually exactly what I'm seeing in my mind. So how it works, it could be like how Brad described it, that their optical nerves are set up just a little bit different. I know that as far as, oh boy, yeah, okay. As far as cats and dogs, they can see images. Hi, Kevin. We're talking about why some people see and other people can't see ghosts. But anyhow, so your cats and dogs, they can see things that are invisible to us. Why is that? It's because they have their eyes are set up. The pupils are more tubular, more tube-like. Thus, they can see. They can pick up more of the infrared zone than we can. Because, so what we can do is, like with us, we have tubular vision as well, but it's set up on the outside, on the out part of our eyes, right in here, okay? And then the center is a cone. Now the cone can't pick up infrared, and it can only pick up a certain speed, of frequency. But now the part that's like the animal, the cat and the dog, is right here. So that's why there you're picking up what you can't see with your cones. It's being picked up at a faster frequency and being seen. And so you'll see something at the corner of your eyes, and which is, you're seeing it just like that cat and dog. You're actually seeing it, but it's 'cause you're seeing it here. So what do we all do is we turn and look at it directly. And when we're looking at it directly, we're looking at it through our cones that are not set up to see what the tubular part, or the tubular of our eyes is seeing, like the cat and the dog. So then we think, oh, well, that was just our imagination. No, it's not. It's the way the eye is made. And then that, of course, what the images you pick up gets sent through the brain and is processed as to what you're going to see and what you won't see, right? So now I've explained how Brad can see, but then also we can also see if we start learning to look more through our peripheral vision rather than our direct vision. So when I go out in the woods, per se, I'll adjust my eyes in a way where I'm able to pick up I'm looking ahead so I don't trip over something, right? But I'm kind of more focused into my peripheral vision. So I'm able to see these shadows and things like that, or people, whatever, standing there. And if I turn and looked at it, boom, they're gone. So I've learned how to adjust my eyes. It's kind of like, like how you'll be looking at something, you kind of get in that stare mode, and somebody will look at you and they'll say, why are you staring at me? And you realize that your head's turned towards them, but you're not really seeing them because your mind's on something else, and you just kind of like, you're looking at them, but you're kind of defocused at the same time. So actually, they're really invisible to you, but they are seeing you look at them. Gets the nervous, they come and say, well, what are you looking at me for? And you say, I don't know what you're talking about. And they'll say, well, you've been staring at me for the last 5 minutes. And then you have to apologize and say, well, maybe I was, but I really wasn't, because my mind was on something else at the time and my head was just directed towards you. Elizabeth Clayton says, this happened to me today. I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked there was nothing. Now, Elizabeth, when this happens, it is not your imagination. When you see something moving out of the corner of your eye, there is something moving. In the corner of your eye, the cone, or the tubercle part of your eye, has actually seen it. By turning and looking at it directly through your cones, it becomes invisible. Now, okay, so then it's all got to do with here, okay? So our brain processes things. So now we've looked at it, we've taken it in, it's been going through, the optical nerves, and then it gets to a certain point in the brain that I kind of say is like the spam on email. It censors. It either is going to accept or it will censor based on what is important to you. So then when it censors it, okay, so let's say for right now, it's put things off to the side in spam mail, okay? And then it sends the rest to the brain. The brain takes this information and processes it based on what what the brain assumes is right. It processes it in, sends it back out as your reality. Okay? So, and if it wasn't and it controls your sense of sight, your smell, your taste, the sense of touch, everything. But there's a key part to that that I said, and it is the information that you see or do not see is based on how the brain processes it. So, which takes you all the way back to when you were a baby. And so, it's like getting a brand new computer, or a CPU unit. But the programming, like Windows 8 program, hasn't been put into it yet. So as soon as you take the program, the operating system, the program, and you download it into the computer, then all of a sudden, the computer's able to function. But it's always based on the data that was put into it as to how it functions. Our brain is set up the same way. So from the day you're born, you are being downloaded with information based on what is going to be important for your survival. All right? So the brain will learn the different tastes, textures, sight, everything. But what happens is big government, big religion, all of those people, they jump right in there and they say, this isn't true. This can't happen. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't see this. There's no such thing. It's your imagination. Green is green, red is red, blue is blue. You can walk, but you can't fly. You can eat, but there's not such a thing as prana, so you can't live off prana. That's energy food. But anyhow, so it tells you what you can and cannot do. And when the brain accepts that as a fact, it absorbs that information. So people, based on their information, cannot do many things. Yet, really, we can. And this is something that 10 years ago applied. Nowadays, with this new age and the age of the internet and being able to communicate back and forth with each other and exchange ideas, we're learning that we can. A lot of things that we thought we could not do, we actually can do because maybe somebody else has already done it. And once somebody's done it, then it's the 100th monkey theory. That the one monkey washes the sweet potato, and the next thing you know, every monkey's washing the sweet potato, right? And that's how it is. Once we see something being done, then we can do it too. Because now the brain has acknowledged that it can be done. It's like if you go back to the Olympics and you watch how, when the Olympics first started, the timing on the runs, or the height of how high you could jump, pole vault, or all that. You'll see that the times were very slow. Next thing you know, you get into the 21st century, and it's like, my God, my kid could run that fast. So, but as soon as somebody breaks a record, there's always somebody that comes along to break that record. And once people realize that they can do it, then it's no longer I can. It is I can. And then it's just a matter of putting effort into it to be able to do it. Now, one of the things, okay, let's go back. Elizabeth says, I've heard that the figures we see in the corner of my eyes have a name. Is this true? Oh, well, I don't know what you're really talking about. It has a name. Is this true? Like a sprite or something. Don't want to sound silly. Well, this is another thing. We tag everything. Once we tag something, we can control it. We can define it. So the sprites, yeah, we've given them the name sprites. We've given out the name ghosts. We're tagging things. Giants, little people, energy beings, aliens, UFOs. Yes, we have given everything a name. Everything that we're aware of, we've given a name to. And of course, if it doesn't have a name, as far as science, academia work goes, it doesn't exist. Richard Barron says, I've always felt that children see auras and believe in magical ideas because of soft spot on skull. No, and it closes around 12. Well, that's because the brain is still growing, and so the skull has to be soft there in order to expand so that the brain grows. My sister had had a baby that was born without a soft spot, and he died. He died at he was maybe 30s, 40s, something like that, but always remained like a little baby because the brain couldn't expand. And any time that he looked at somebody and recognized them, he'd get severe headaches. So, so the skull has to have that soft spot to allow the brain to grow. But the reason children can see auras and believe in magical ideas is because no one has told them they can't. And that's what I'm getting at. Because if the brain, remember when I said about how the information is taken in, gets to an area in the brain where it's decided what is spam mail and what is good stuff to send to the brain for processing. And it's based on what the brain, the beliefs that has been put into the brain as acceptable or non-acceptable. Now, when we go to the woods, I take people to the fairy kingdom where they put in M&Ms and they hang like glitter on the glitter trees. We call them glitter trees, but they're just regular trees, and we hang jewelry on them, anything that glitters. And now, as a group, we're watching those people go in. And so we're experiencing, seeing them physically standing there, because I always send them in one at a time. So a person goes in, we're seeing them standing there. The person that's standing there feels that they're standing there. But when they come out, I've taken a picture of all this, and I will show them by a camera that they're gone. They're not there. And the people say, well, we saw her standing there, or him standing there. And the person said, well, I never felt I went anyplace. That's because the brain creates our reality. So the brain, our brain has been taught that people do not disappear in front of our very eyes. So when that happens, it will adjust, the brain will adjust the reality in accordance to what the brain feels is the correct information. So the brain readjusts. So these people actually did disappear. The people thinking that they are seeing these people, they're not seeing them at all. Their brain has recreated the event, making them think that that's what they're seeing. Same way with the person standing there. Now, I have a friend, which one was it? Dr. Claude Swanson. He's a physicist, a genius. And Claude said, because I contacted him about this, he wrote this book of The Synchronized Universe. And if you ever get a chance to buy it, buy that book. And I think he's got two books now written on it. But he told me that the brain can be tricked. But the camera, because it doesn't have a brain, cannot be tricked. It simply photographs what is there or what is not there. So many of you, because the brain hasn't accepted the idea of ghosts, or that there's all these people standing around us, like angels and guardians and Bigfoot, or, fairies and all that. We don't see them because the brain's been told that they're not there. So even though they're there and just as real as you and me, they're totally invisible to us, and we will not see them. But because a child has not been told this, and their brain has not accepted this disinformation, then the child will have invisible friends. The child will be able to see auras. The child can be taken aboard a UFO and brought back again. The child can spend, like how children will play with their dolls. We've been told the dolls they don't have personality. They're just a doll. But that's not true. There is everything that has been created with intelligent consciousness. Just like we have intelligent consciousness, everything else does too. A tree does, a doll does, your furniture does, a rock does. Everything. It's just that we have been told that they don't. We're the only ones that has intelligent consciousness. There was a time when they said that animals like a chimpanzee and stuff like that didn't have intelligent consciousness either. But now we're learning that they do. They can count. They can solve problems. Even the fish, bugs, everything. And because we're in that age of the computer, we're seeing videos. Like I said before, I put up several videos just last night, I think it was, where it showed these geese helping a hedgehog across the road. And then a black swan, gardening, pulling weeds, the dead weeds from the flower garden, and then actually putting it into a pile. Left the flowers alone, but took the weeds, plucked them out, put them in a pile. Then went on to go down and feed the fish. That's intelligence. That's consciousness. They are aware. They're aware of their environment. And now that we are seeing videos because of the internet, we're realizing, okay, what our brain had accepted as truth really wasn't true at all. These animals, these gemstones, all this color and everything is giving us information. It's feeding us information. And so now we've become aware of it. Now that we have become aware of it, we are learning from the animal world, the insect world, the plant world, the world of the clouds, and now we realize that life goes on because energy cannot be destroyed. Conscious energy cannot be destroyed. So who I am, regardless if my body dies, my whole essence, my thoughts, my fears, my happiness, my knowledge of my friends, my loved ones, it's still there. Just not in the body anymore because the body wears out. So the body wears out, like the serpent sheds that skin, it goes on to another life, which is right here with us. So so now we know that you can see things through the corner of your eyes. You can process things so that you can actually see living, or you can actually see people that have crossed over, entities and things like that, like dead people. And now you realize that you can disappear. If you can disappear, where is that body? Where did it disappear to? Other dimensions, other realms? Well, then that would be alternate realities, parallel universes, the biblical heavens, um, the realms of the fairies, the realms of the unicorns, the lands of the giants. You can go into the past. You can go visit somebody here in the present. You can go into the future, because you're no longer limited to your body, but you're still there, just as real as always. And so you now know you can do this stuff. So that opens you up from just a third dimensional being as what you think, well, what your brain actually was told that you were not capable of anything else. You were not capable of remote viewing. You wasn't capable of time travel, dimensional travel. But then you find out you are. And once you find out, it's like that in the Olympics. Once you find out, you know, that what was a certain speed, has elevated like 10, 20, 30, maybe 100 times more than it was before. Because now you know you can do it. Once a person knows they can do something, they can do it. And, and then all it is applying this new information, and using it. The brain, of course, has to accept it. That's why I always tell people, especially, people that are smokers, friends of people that are smokers, never tell up a smoker or a person that loves sugar or whatever, that they're going to die from smoking, or they're going to die because they're eating too much, or they're going to die because of, some crazy reason. Because once the brain accepts it, then the brain starts processing it into, the brain at that point of time will send that message to the invisible world that has the building blocks to create what it needs to bring it into this world. So basically, if you've been told, so if people tell you you're going to die of something, chances are you might very well die of it. So when you say that, basically, I look at it as you're cursing that person. It's the same principles as voodoo. The voodoo doll doesn't kill the person, but it's the voodoo priest or the person that is working on the curse will contact that person and say, I made a voodoo doll, and I'm sticking pins in it every night, and you should be feeling pain like at 9 o'clock p.m. every night. That brain, if it accepts that as a truth, you will experience pain at 9 o'clock that night, because the brain will create it, okay? And that's just feelings, or, physical. But the brain can also work with the invisible world and this other realm, that where the building blocks are, that can bring disease into your life and bring disease into other people's lives. But they always have, but you have to tell them about it. The brain has to accept it as a fact. As soon as the brain accepts it as a fact, your reality has changed. Because remember, all reality is an semblance of molecules and frequencies and wavelengths of light and color. And that's all it is. And so the only thing that separates us from a ghost, per se, would be that the ghost, because it doesn't have a physical body anymore, has a faster vibration, faster frequency. And so, and with us, in the physical body, we have a denser vibration, a denser frequency, thus it can be touched. You stub your toe, it hurts. It's just a variation, a difference between one frequency and another frequency. And that's like with an alien. An alien can walk, people say, wow, I watched it walk right through a wall. Well, how did it do that? Because it's, they're seeing it as physical, right? But how it works is like with us, we, in our world, in our third dimensional reality, our vibration is in a world of matching vibration. Okay? And so if you stub your toe, it's going to hurt. You're not going to walk through a wall. But you can increase your vibration, increase that frequency, and thus the vibration of the wall no longer applies to you because you're at a higher frequency, a faster spinning molecules, thus be able to walk right through. Does that make sense to you guys? A lot of this probably won't make sense, but that's where my I have notes. You go into my notes section, and I have articles written on how this all works, so you can actually study it. And I give references so that you can follow up with the references, so that, you know, to learn more about it. So anyhow, and now I've set up a site where it is called what the heck is it called? Let's Talk About It with Mary. But it's a group site from Facebook, and you know, like if you wanted to get in, it would be Talk 1957. 1957 is the year of my first car. I had a 1957 Chevy. Envy of all the guys in high school too. That was fun. I ended up making, oh, you wouldn't believe all the best friends I had when I had that 1957. Hey, Mary, you want to go? Let's take a ride, okay? Okay. You got gas money? Yeah. So I'd not only get all the attention, but I'd also get the guys that have to turn around and pay for my gas too. So I had that all worked out pretty good, okay? You know, but going now, nostalgia is kicking in, right? So anyhow, I think that's one of the things, though, that, you know, why I do the things I do is because I was always so rebellious. Oh my God, if there was something I wasn't supposed to do in high school, you know, I'd sit there and figure out a way around it where I can do it, you know, as long as it didn't hurt anybody or didn't hurt me. Sometimes I'd have to sit, you know, in detention or something like that, but that wasn't bad. But anyhow, I've always kind of been rebellious, you know, and, you know, always questioning things. You know, they say you can't do something, it's like, well, why can't I? You know, where did you come up with that rule, you know? But I think that that's a good thing. I think everybody that has been called the black sheep of the family, I think that's probably a very, very nice compliment, because you're not a sheeple. And I think that the people that are more open-minded are the ones, well, if you're open-minded, think about it. If you're open-minded, that means that that your mind is open to receiving information. You're not closed. It's the closed-minded ones that, you know, it's very difficult for the brain to filter anything in new. unless it's, um, but the brain has always been, it's been programmed to accept information from religious instructors, teachers, certain people of social standing. And so a closed-minded person, they will receive information, but it's basically third-dimensional information from, the religious instructor or whatever. Where an open-minded person, we just take it all in, and then we come up with our own conclusions. Um, so, if you're following your heart, or if you come up with a conclusion or a theory based on following your heart, um, that's being psychic. If you're an intuitive mother, that's being psychic. If you got a gut feeling, that's being psychic. You know, um, and if you're seeing things out of the corner of your eyes, that's being psychic. If you're willing to accept the fact that people disappear in front of your very eyes, even though that they look like they're standing right in front of you, but you believe that they did disappear, and they did, then that's being psychic. If your colors, like yellow, is a very happy color. So if you're wearing yellow one day and you're feeling so happy, well, you're psychic because you picked up you picked up the energy coming off that color. So like, let's say someday that you says, oh man, I'm kind of feeling blah today. You've kind of gotten up and you're feeling kind of blah. Go into your closet and you see that yellow and you say, aha, and you grab that yellow shirt and you put it on. Well, you were being psychic. You were tuning into the vibrations of your colors, of your clothes in your closet. And subconsciously or psychically, you chose the color that was going to make you happy for the day. So even just getting your shirt or making the decision of what to wear that day is a psychic decision. It's just being psychic. It's a tag. It's like the word alien or UFO or Bigfoot or any, hamburger, salads, whatever. It's just a tag for something. So you can define it. All right? And give it its place, in society or in your home or whatever. You can control it. It's like, remember when you used to go, I don't know if they still do it, but I used to do Yahoo Messenger all the time. And I got all these people that would send me something, and they go, what was it? There was abbreviations for it. Anyhow, it basically, it was asking with the initials, your location, your age, your gender. I think that was it. Age, gender, age, and location. And why? Because they wanted to tag you. Well, I don't like being tagged. So basically, somebody wanted to know my age, they wanted to know where I lived, or where, if I was male, female. Like, they couldn't figure that out by looking at my picture, right? Then I just didn't even waste my time with them, because I don't like being tagged. And especially age. Come on. Really? when you're 50, what difference does it make if you're 50 or if you're 30 or if you're 60 or whatever? I mean, does that mean like if you hit like 50 you can't have fun no more? Or that you're bent over, got a hump on your back and you've lost your teeth? You know? I mean, what is it? Why do they want to know your age, for God's sakes? You know? I mean, if they can't see it by looking at a picture of you, you know. But anyhow, so I hate tanks. People will say, you know, like, okay, I don't know what the retirement age is. 62, maybe 65, I don't know. But whatever retirement age is, it's like, okay, so when you hit that age, does that mean that you're not capable of working anymore? That you should just retire and collect Social Security? Well, it's free money. Well, not really free money because you paid in all your life, so it's time that it's time that you recoup what you paid in. But I think we got a president that's 70, 71, 72 years old right now. And Hillary Clinton, well, she was in her 60s when she ran for president of the United States. And so, how do you tag somebody like that? You know, according to their age, according to their gender, or if they're from New York City, right? You can't. So, I mean, I don't think that it does any of us justice to determine age. And you can't even say along with age comes wisdom, because I've met some pretty darn dumb people that, you know, are older, senior citizens, okay, whatever you want to call them, and for some pretty damn smart kids that are like 6 and 7 years old, that would make, you know, that's probably, you know, a genius level, that could probably do very, very well in college. Carrie says, okay, Elizabeth, thanks for the chat, Mary. Very interesting. Got to go to sleep in the morning. Hope to catch you again soon. Love and light. Liz, just remember this show is archived. Carrie Collins, these bodies are young compared to how old our souls are. Very good point. Very good point, Carrie. Because the body is not the soul. It's not the intelligent consciousness of that soul. And that's another reason that we should never ever judge anybody, is because of the fact that the soul deliberately chooses different types of bodies to go into to experience life. You know, it's a collection, life is a collection of experiences. So, and this is something that, you know, like okay, let's say in one life you were Indian and you were subjugated by the white people, all right? So now you're born into this world and you're a white person. How does that work? So now you're no longer the Indian, now you're the white person. And because that's how it works. One life you're a man, and the next life you're a woman, because you need to know what that one person went through. Like, let's go back to the Indians. What that Indian went through in that lifetime, getting those life experiences, and then you need the other side of the story. So you need to come back into life and be the person that gave you all the problems that you got, or vice versa. And so that's what, in the biblical quotes, it says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Well, that doesn't mean that because somebody shot your eye out or plucked your eye out, that you're to go back to them and pluck their eye out. That's not how it works. It's a karmic thing. where, like, if you, let's say, abducted a child and killed that child, in another life, when you came back, you would be that child, and you would be going through all those horrors that that child went through. Okay? So, Carrie says, yep, been an Indian, now I'm a white English girl. So that's kind of interesting, Carrie, that's how I described it as you came in. And you see, is it interesting, or is that psychic? Or is that a coincidence? See, this is what I'm talking about. It's a tag. Psychic is a tag. It is what it is. How people should describe, if they, have that they're psychic. Say, somebody says to you, are you psychic? You should say, I am that I am. It is what it is. Because we all are psychic. We all have animal instincts. We all have survival instincts. We all have heart. We all have a gut. We all have intuition. Now, what makes one more so than another? Sometimes, like in Brad's case, it was just kind of a crazy thing about how the nerves were set up in his head, where he was able to see everything, all colors, right? So that opened him up where he'd be able to not only see all colors, but he could also see people on the other side. So sometimes it's a physical thing, and other times it's just because we're all psychic. It's because sometimes we're more tuned into something than other times. And we may not think so. We may be thinking, well, all I was doing was sitting there writing a letter, and I'm listening to a ghost start speaking in my ear. Well, when you're quiet, that's when you actually do tune in. Or leave yourself open for them to tune into you. Right? That's what meditation's all about. Is because when you meditate, you quiet your mind, eliminate the chatter, and allow information to come in. So meditation then is what? It's just eliminating the chatter. Do you have to sit there and go through all this time and this, instructions of how to meditate? Or can you just go out in the woods? Touch something. That's meditation. You don't have to make it. I always look at everything that if it can't be taught to a small child or to a child that doesn't know English, or speaks a different language than you, then it's probably not godly. Doesn't make it bad, but it's not teaching. Because the way God has everything set up, the smallest child, even a baby, understands the words of God. Right? So it has to be simplicity in its most simplistic manner. So that everybody, we don't need missionaries like, I'm not going to say which religions, but we don't need missionaries thinking that they have to go to these third world countries and instruct these people on God and how to communicate with God and his angels and that, because it's already been set up by God that we know that we all hear his wisdom. And how would that be? In the term psychic. Psychic is not being witchcraft. It's not evil. It's just a word. It's just a term for people to use to be able to say that they can communicate, with God, the angels, all with life itself. Being psychic is kind of like your hotline to all that is. And it's just basically just listening and paying attention, noting, because it's being able to read body language, being able to watch animals and understand what the animals are saying and what the animals are doing. Like when the tsunami hit Sumatra, there were so many people that died because they were all caught up in technology. But after that, another tsunami hit another island. Now, these people was not so technical or advanced, and they paid attention to the animals. It wasn't psychic, but they were tuned into their surroundings, the birds, the animals. And when they seen the animals going for high country, all of them leaving the lowlands and going to the high country, because they were watching, because they were tuned in, they followed the animals. And thus, when the tsunami came in, there was no lives lost. So being tuned into the animals and your surroundings, that makes you psychic. In other words, it is as it is. Now, there's people out there that it's like a muscle, all right? The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. When I first started working with a pendulum, it would just slightly move back and forth, back and forth. And now I grab onto a pendulum and I tell people to stand back, because that pendulum is just a swinging, And if people don't stand back, they're going to get hit. They can easily get hit in the head, and that's happened before. But that's because I have practiced using my pendulum. I have practiced trust. I have practiced faith in the collective consciousness. I have made it part of my life. To me, that world is not separate, that I have to go to and tune into. I have finally gotten to that point that it is part of me. The two have married and become one. And that's what happens. The more trust you put into something, it's like any relationship. The more time you put into that relationship, the more trust and the more faith, the more communication that you put into it, the stronger the connection between the two people. Same way with being psychic. It's just a term. It is what it is. And so now there's a lot of people, though, that have, like with me, used it and are aware of it. And it has been the voices and the images and all that, and all the things that's coming to them in the form of animals and birds and, circumstances. It has, because we've practiced it, we've accepted it, we believe in it. It's become one with us. And just like that bump for a muscle, it got bigger and bigger and bigger until, the bump is there. Bump wasn't there until you started working that arm over and over and over, until finally that nothingness becomes one lump that is part of you. This makes sense? Carrie says, have you noticed, Mary, that your already abilities have increased lately? I know mine have. My telepathy has increased with people I'm connected to. Well, I think all of us right at this point in time are becoming more telepathic, we're using our gifts more because we're more aware of them. And with the, well, look at what's happened with the eclipse. All these hurricanes and volcanoes and things like that. That's because all this extra energy coming in, they're exploding. Mother Earth has to release that energy somehow. And I think with the eclipse, it's also blasted us with this light of knowledge. And we're affected by it with severe headaches, and we've been getting colds, we've been having asthma attacks, heart attacks, from the good to the bad to the ugly, I guess. But like Red Elk had said, when this time comes, we'd either bend like a reed or we'd snap like a stick, a dried stick. And so, Carrie, you're bending. I'm bending. Just basically anybody listening to this show, or it's on my site, they're all bending. Because if they wasn't, they wouldn't be here with us, right? Or they wouldn't be going to my websites and your websites and our groups and things like that. Birds of a feather, right? And I think it is the time of the gathering. So many of us are gathering more so to like minds. And so we're talking more, we're sharing more. And again, the brain is accepting more. It's more open to the possibilities. We're going with the eclipse. It's opened us up where we're being forced to go back into the past and release all this baggage that was taking up space, and we're replacing all that baggage. We're seeing it. We're fighting those demons. We're winning over. And we're releasing that negative back into the universe to be cleaned up with love. And we're taking all those empty spaces that we had that was filled with this baggage and replacing them with light, information, which then allows us to be more psychic, or it is as it is. We're becoming more enlightened. We're becoming light, and we're more lighter, happier. And as long as we keep that calmness, more information comes where we understand it more. Because we could be getting tons of information, but if we're in chaos, we get too much chatter. We're feeling guilty, angry. All that is clutter and chatter in our brain, which keeps the good information from coming in and for us to be able to process it. Yes, it has been, Carrie says, yes, it's been an amazing family reunion, meeting up with many souls. And you're right, it is. It's also a time of not only the time of the gathering, Carrie, but we're separate. It's a time that the universe is using to separate the chaff from the wheat. It's harvest time. It's the collection of the souls. It's the separation and collection of the souls. And what comes of it, I don't know. I guess it's up to us. We've been given that free will. We can either live in love and acceptance of all creatures, or we can be hateful, spiteful, negative. That's our choice. Um, I and there and it's a time that you can't hide that choice from people either. People are being exposed for the choices that they've made in life. Um, it used to be that they'd smile and tell you all these lies and we'd fall for it. But now we finally, and Christ said this, he predicted it, that in the end days, of the old age, um, all things shall be revealed. And that's what's happening now. That's Revelations. It's a time when things are being revealed. So the liars, the cheat, the thieves, they're no longer they're no longer able to control us through deception, because we're opening up our mind. We're getting away from that chatter because of the eclipse. Something's supposed to happen the 23rd. Don't have the slightest clue of what it is. Who knows? A lot of people are talking about it. I guess that we got 3 more days before we find out, huh? But I guess it's, you have to remember, as far as being psychic, all that means is, well, let me rephrase it. When a father has a child, the child picks up his traits in life. And even if that father is no longer around, you'll see certain traits, characteristics that's passed on through the genes of the father. That's us. We are children of the divine. I'm not making this up. This is how I feel. We are children of the divine Father and the divine Mother. So we have inherited traits of both. We are, as I've talked about before, we are the imagination, the people of the imagination. Because what is imagination? I am a nation of magi. We are a nation of magic, of miracles. That's our divine heritage. We may have been tricked into thinking that we were born into this world in sin, that we were not deserving of God's love, that we had to prove on a daily basis through prayer and through certain demands that had to be met in order to deserve his love. All right? But that's not true, because Christ came here and told us specifically, we are loved by our Father unconditionally. And unconditionally means there is no conditions put on us to receive love. No more than we put conditions on our children to be loved by us. We love them, but that doesn't mean we don't have certain rules. And, but the rules are made up to protect us. So we tell the children not to run across the street because we don't want him run over. And if he did run across the street, we're certainly not going to condemn him for eternity in a life of hell and fire and fury. It's not going to happen. They'll get a good spanking too, may have to sit in the corner for a little while to think about what they did. But isn't that what happens with us when we die? We go to this certain place and we have to go through a review where you sit in your corner and you have to think on all the things that you did. And if you haven't learned your lesson after that review, you will come back to Earth and learn through life experiences once again of what you did wrong and why you shouldn't have done it. And then plus a few other little things, right? So we are children of the divine. There is no conditions. Our religion is God is love, love is God. And if you do something out of love, you can't do anything wrong. You know, it's only through non-love that comes hate and anger and distrust. So when you wake up in the morning, have a happy thought, love yourself, tell yourself, I love you, and know that you're divine, and that you are in direct communication through your heart, your gut, your mind, and all that is. You're in direct communication with the divine source. And man calls it psychic. In order to become closer and stronger, it's through study. It's through listening to people like myself. You know, sharing that information with others. But study is very, very important. But also and I can't stress enough, learn to discern spirit, because there's a lot of culprits out there that are trying to, it's a collection of souls right now, they're trying to deliberately trick you into following the wrong path and causing, they're people of deception. And maybe they are souls that have come into this body to destroy you or to take your soul. I don't know. But I do know that if you feel something isn't right, it probably isn't. And if you feel that something is wrong, it probably is. And that's how you discern. You learn to listen to your body. If your body tenses up and it just don't feel right being around these people, you lose energy. You find that when you're around these people that it gets you nervous. Might even give you a stomach ache. Then that's your body telling you beware. The body will give you a lot of flags, red flags, to show you danger. And that's what you have to do, is learn to trust your body. And because the body speaks to you through your Holy Spirit, which is connected to the all that is, to the divine source. So, Carrie says, I have a friend named Erin who revealed she is the Lady of the 12 Crowns in Revelation. In a recent video, her twin flame filed this jeweled crown that appeared after the reunion. Not too familiar with Revelations, other than we will have astrological, signs of the change or ascension. Some call it end times. Some say we are shifting to fifth dimension. End times, remember, Carrie, is the end times. It's the time of the end of the age of Pisces. Now we start the age of Aquarius. That's the only thing it means, end times. That's the end of that time when it was struggles, hardships, envy, cheat, wars. It's end. And and we're switching into the new age where people, it's love, it's community, and the wars will cease. Right now we're in that transition stage. Transition stage, you always know it, because this is the time that you have your hurricanes, your earthquakes, your tornadoes in extreme, and wars, and talk of wars. So We're exactly where we're supposed to be at this point in time. But that's not the end. Just as we have to go back and clean up all that baggage and get rid of it so that the light can enter us, Mother Earth has to do the same darn thing. She's just eliminating what needs to be eliminated so that we can get on with this new age of Aquarius. And the new age of Aquarius is the time of the second coming of Christ. What is the second coming of Christ? It's the Christ consciousness. And all of us will be given that. Okay? And it's our choice at that time, and we're receiving it right now. And it's going to always be our choice whether we want to receive the second coming of Christ, or to turn our backs to it. Okay? As far as her being the, you said that she was carried the crown. I don't believe it. Maybe. I never say never. And there's Mr. Sutherland. And what are we having to dinner tonight, Mr. Sutherland?
Beef stew.
Beef stew and homemade biscuits. Or biscuits?
Biscuits.
Biscuits. Okay. And Max, you want to say goodbye? Say goodbye so you can go eat. Say goodbye. There's Daddy. Oh, now don't look at him, Daddy. You embarrassed him. No, he won't. Okay, hurry up and say goodbye so that you can go eat. Go on. Daddy's not here. Okay, you do it. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to everybody. There you go. Okay. Yeah. He got embarrassed because Brad was watching him. It's just a little thing between you and me and like 10,000 other people, right? But his daddy can't see him. He got embarrassed. Okay, so everybody, we've gone over again. But, so you are psychic. You've inherited the divine gift. And now it's just accepting it, believing it, and fine-tuning it. And that's what I'm here for, okay, to help you fine-tune. And to kind of get the cobwebs out of the brain, so that you can understand who you are and what you are. You're very, very special. And it's time that you realize that. But not only are you special, because remember, we all came here on this journey together. So not only are you very, very special, but your pet is very, very special. The birds in the sky, the bees, every living creature has been given this divine consciousness. And we're now just seeing it. But we're all coming together. So regardless if you're a pet, a wild animal, or a stranger, or a loved one, give respect. Because in the end, the old the religion of Osiris was love is God, God is love. It all boils down to that. You can love, that's all you need, okay? But remember, number one person to love is yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you'll never get past that wall in order to be able to go on. So if you got problems with yourself, work with them, okay? Put up signs. Go to the store and buy yourself a teddy bear. That says "I love you" on it. Go to the store and buy yourself a bouquet of roses. Love yourself. Court yourself. Just like a lover would his love. Right? You can be your own lover. Say "I love you." You're a great person. And because by doing so, see what you're doing is you're getting your brain's has been for so long accepting that you're not deserving. that there's better people out there than you, smarter people out there than you. Okay? The brain's accepted that. Now what you want to do is get your brain to accept that you are just as special as anybody. You're the smartest. You're the best, right? You're equal to. You're deserving of love. I love you so much that I'm buying you roses, or I'm buying you, you know, a bracelet. You know, whatever. Court yourself and allow your brain to accept what a wonderful person you are. And pretty soon, the brain will. And as soon as that time happens, then the brain is going to start working with the other universe that holds the building blocks, and all this stuff is going to start falling into your new world, because your brain is creating a new reality where you're number one, you know, which you should be. You can have a lot of number ones. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? And you're one. And I'm one. And we're special. And my dog is gone because he went to eat. His daddy took him, so we lost our cohort. Well, no, not really, because he did yawn, didn't he? So he said goodbye to you. Okay? And now he's done eating, and I'm going to go eat myself, because Brad made a beef stew. So put that over some biscuits, and I should have a nice dinner. Why? Because I deserve it. Why? Because I love myself. See what I mean? And when you love yourself, all good things come. And for me right now, it's homemade stew and over biscuits with a nice cold glass of milk. Until tomorrow, guys. Blessed be.